Alright, this is going to be a video of this 52-inch Kendal Lighting brand lit housing ceiling fan that I got at my local Habitat Restore. I got it because, for those who don't know, I'm actually a volunteer there, and basically what I do for them is refurbish ceiling fans they receive by donation, and make them more sellable and run better than how they previously came in. Now, without any further ado here, I'm actually going to demonstrate it and begin with the light kit. Now, as I mentioned, this is a lit housing fan. So if you pull the chain once, just the down light comes on. Pull it a second time, just the housing. Third time, both down light and housing. And fourth time, everything shuts off. Now, as for the light bulbs, for the down light, I'm using 4 25-watt incandescents just to do something a little bit different. And for the housing, I'm just using 4 7-watt nightlight bulbs. Now for the fan itself, starting out with the high speed. And as you might hear, the bearings are quite loud on it. Surprisingly enough, it actually does not seem to affect RPM, because on high speed it probably spins at around 215 to 220. Judging by the black piece of tape I put on one of the blade brackets. I did actually try and oil the fan, which seemed to help a little bit, but it's still rather noisy, especially on the highest speed. It actually does push a pretty decent amount of air, especially after I pitch the blades more to increase performance. Next, for medium, medium does quiet down, and probably will slow down to about 175, 180 RPM. It actually is a pretty stable fan when it runs, because the blades are in rather good alignment. And last but not least, the low speed, which I'll show with the fan and light on running simultaneously here. And this is probably going to go at about 65 RPM, maybe somewhere closer to 60. Anyway, I'll turn that off. Stop the moving blades here. And I'm going to be discussing some general information on the fan. The motor housing is actually entirely made out of plastic. I believe it's acrylic, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I'm generally not too crazy about plastic housing fans, but I actually do quite like this one, just because of the unique design. More about that later on, however. Another thing is the fan is made by air-cool, just like a lot of 90s Kendal lighting fans. This one actually happens to be from 1997, so it's one of the later models that used a reverse pull chain instead of reversing switch. And finally, I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of the fan and what I would rank it out of 5 stars, beginning with the pros. Like I said, I'm usually not very fond of fans with plastic motor housings, but this one does have quite an unusual design to it. As you can see, part of it is actually frosted, and it has these kind of ridges in there, which gives it a sort of 1950s look, if you will. And also, it blends the 90s contemporary style with these glossy blades. So I do believe it is a pretty unusual looking fan. Another thing is the build quality is actually fairly decent. Unlike a lot of plastic housing fans you find where the parts are actually pretty low quality, this one definitely uses solid plastic and metal and has a fairly large 172x18 motor in it. Also, it does have pretty nice globes in addition to motor housing, definitely suit the fan well, and it can be downrod or flush mounted for various ceiling heights. As for the cons, the fan really is not very versatile because the blades are just the same finish on both sides, just gloss white, and it really can't be installed without light kit because it actually is integrated into the switch housing. Plus, being that this fan is used, it is a little bit scratched up, and of course the bearings are rather loud, But overall, I'd probably have to give it 4 out of 5 stars, just because it's pretty unique, and unlike a lot of plastic housing fans, it's actually of decent quality. Anyway guys, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and if anyone could tell me the exact model of this, I'd be much appreciated.